more jobs and a better bottom line. The foundations for the Territory's future prosperity are now set in stone. The economy is strong and getting stronger. The path back to budget surplus is solid. The Territory is in safe hands. And that's given me plenty of comfort as I came to a difficult decision in recent days. It's no secret that the last few years have been intense. It's taken a lot out of me, like it has for plenty of us. Add to that a heart attack and a couple of kids. And it has caused me to reflect a lot over the past few weeks while preparing for this budget. I've always given 100% to this job. Anything less is shortchanging the people who sent me here. I can no longer look Territorians in the eye and say I can keep giving 100% every day. And if I can't do that, then I shouldn't be in the chair. I don't need a second near-death experience to know that life is unpredictable and can be cut short. One of those was more than enough. And when I held Nash for the first time, that was it. Game over. I knew straight away that I was done. I'm not going to stay in the job longer than I need just for the check or the ego. 46 is young for a Polly, but it is pretty old for a father of a newborn and a toddler. And that's who I want to spend more of my time with now for as long as I can. So after I take your questions, I will go down to the Convention Centre for my final engagement as Chief Minister, and then I'll return to paternity leave for a few weeks. Nicole will continue to serve as Acting Chief Minister, as she has done with distinction plenty of times in the past. I let her know my thinking late last week so she could be prepared to continue as Acting Chief. She's been the boss the last few weeks. She will keep being the boss this week. And our caucus will meet on Friday morning to determine a new leader. If there is consensus in the room, and I hope there will be, we can have a new chief on Friday. If there is a ballot, then that's fine too. They'll take a month or so, and of course Nicole can continue acting chief for as long as needed. But as I said, I hope that as a team we can agree on a new chief on Friday. When I return from leave, I will continue to serve as the member for Fanny Bay and a loyal member of the government on the backbench. Being Chief Minister gives you plenty of time, but it also takes a lot. It takes a lot from the people who love you and work with you, so please bear with me while I give some thanks in the little time I have left. I met with the Cabinet and the caucus this morning to advise them of my decision. I have been very fortunate to lead a strong, stable and united team. We have returned stability to the Territory Government. No midnight coups, no weekly reshuffles, no waking up to wonder who's running the show. My Cabinet and caucus colleagues don't put themselves ahead of the team or ahead of Territorians, and I think more than anything else, that has made the difference. I know that won't change this week or in the following weeks. I am grateful for all of them, and I look forward to continuing as a member of this team in a different capacity. I do want to make special mention of two colleagues. Mano, you're an absolute legend. The best wing woman a chief could hope for. Nicole, you've been the deputy of my dreams. Smart, loyal, tough, honest. Thank you so much for everything you have done for me and for our government, and everything you will keep doing, especially if you put up your hand for the top job. That's your decision, no pressure. And Tash, Australia's best health minister. I don't know what's better. See how much fun she has on the floor of Parliament, or seeing how much the other side hates it. I can't count the times I've got on the phone to either of these two with the same problem that's popped up, and the response is, I'm onto it, consider it done. I know the next government, whoever leads it, will be in safe hands because Mano and Tash will have leading roles in it. Speaking of people who have to keep working, the fifth floor. I can't thank all of my staff individually, but you're all champions. My office, led by Emily Beresford-Kane, and all of our ministerial and electorate staff. Staffers bring sense to our nonsense, order to our chaos. If you think politicians look bad sometimes, trust me, we could look a lot worse. To everyone on the fifth floor, thanks for everything you have done while I've been in the job. My government has been very well served by dedicated and diligent public servants. I thank all of them. I thank the big boss, Jody Ryan, a valued advisor who's become a dear friend. Thank you, Jody. I have a wonderful, supportive and enormous family, an extended family spread across the Territory and the country. It's been very hard to keep this from them. When I asked the mum the other day if she would come to Parliament to watch my budget speech, I honestly thought she'd get a bit sus. Why would she want to come and watch me give another boring speech? The mums don't question. They just support you and love you. I learned a lot from Mum. About working hard, about never giving up, how to be a good parent, a lot more. We did it tough growing up. Mum never complained. She just worked and worked and worked and worked, did whatever it took to put her family first. Mum, even in our toughest times, always knew it would be fine because we had you. I learned a lot from Mum. More than anything, I learned the power of love because I know from my own experiences, even when there isn't much else, a mother's love can take you a long, long way. Finally, Cobb. I don't know how I'm going to get through this part, but I'll give it a crack. If you have seen my wife, Christy O'Brien, on one of her shows on the telly, she is as she appears. Big-hearted, open-minded, kind, curious, confident. She's also really, really tough and fierce. I've never seen anyone work harder than she does, bond better with people than she does, think clearer than she does, or cook Anzac biscuits like she does. I learn from her every day, and I love her more every morning I wake up and see her. She's been walking in my shadow long enough. I cannot wait to walk in hers, to support her like she has supported me. It has been a privilege to serve as your Chief Minister, one of the honours of my life. I'm the first Territory-born Chief. As I said in the House, I was born here, I've worked to start a family here, I will die happy here. I love the Territory. It's a place of potential and possibility for all of us. It doesn't matter who you are, you can have a crack and make something of yourself. And I think my own story shows that. A kid who grew up in public housing in Alice and Tennant, who stacked shelves to get himself through uni, can serve the Territory as its Chief Minister. Thank you for giving me a go.
Well done, Michael. Well, what a day.
You go there.
Off Huddy goes, everyone. What a champion. On behalf of the Labor caucus team, on behalf of Territorians, I just want to say a big thank you to you, Michael. We are so proud to call Michael our colleague, our friend, our Chief Minister. I am so proud to see my friend, who was born and raised here in the Northern Territory, the first Territory-born Chief Minister, who had a real vision and determination on how he could make the Northern Territory a better place for everybody. And I think Michael will leave an outstanding legacy of being a transformative Chief Minister, somebody who has set the foundations economically and socially so our kids grow up with more opportunities, and so many more Territory children are going to grow up and have a better life thanks to the work of Chief Minister Michael Gunner. Thank you, Gunner. You have been outstanding, and it has been an honour to serve with you. And I have no doubt you're looking forward to doing a few more jobs around the house for Cobb. And the kids are going to be just loving having you around a bit more, as well as the electorate of Fanny Bay. But thank you, you have been outstanding. This Friday, the caucus will meet and we will determine a new Chief Minister. In the interim, I'll be acting as the Chief Minister from after Michael presents his budget presentation down at the waterfront. But make no mistake, this team is absolutely determined to continue the legacy of Michael, to make sure we build on the strong foundations that he has laid, to make sure we continue making sure the Territory is a great place for everybody. And today he has delivered a budget that sets those foundations, and it is a budget for all of us here in the Territory. So thank you, Michael. I will hand over for the questions to you now, but thank you again. It's been an honour. You're a legend.
Thank you, Nicole, for talking long enough so I could compose myself.
Chief Minister, during your reign,
I'll just take one here. Sorry,
Do you think that people usually don't resign from their jobs unless they have some future economic prospects on the horizon? Have you been in negotiations about a future job?
No. I've been wrestling with the decision for a while. I went into this election convinced I'm working towards 24 re-election, a long-term Labor government. I was also extremely mindful that no chief has served longer than 6 years and something, 6 years and a few days. So there's a lifespan to a chief for a reason. This year I've been really thinking it through a lot. And it ended up not being that hard, I guess, actually, when I held Nash, to be honest. My intention is to step back, not step down. So my intention is to remain as the member for Fanny Bay. I got elected as the member for Fanny Bay. That always comes first. Any title you carry, in addition to that, is a privilege, whether it's whip or Leader of the Opposition or Chief Minister. I'm the member for Fanny Bay. I'm staying the member for
So
Fanny
you haven't been offered a job in the next year or two?
I can absolutely rule that out.
What's your biggest achievement as Chief Minister in your role?
For me, the challenge I set myself coming in, and this is not to speak ill of any previous chief, but growing up here, I just kept seeing the same thing happen over and over again. And I set myself a challenge. I knew it couldn't necessarily be achieved in my term as chief, but how do we break those cycles of social dysfunction, trauma, dispossession? There's a lot that goes into that bucket. And the other big challenge we've got as a territory is the boom bust cycle. We've seen it happen repeatedly, and INPEX was the last one. Nothing gets INPEX, but there was a construction cliff. So how do we set the territory up for the long term that cuts through on that social side, that cuts through on the economic side? And I guess sometimes these things are meant to be that's come together. I've come to this decision holding Nash and knowing what's best for me and my family at the same time that I'm finishing my last task, delivering a budget. I think you can see in this budget the pathway forward. More jobs for more places and that economic boom bust cycle ending, and you can see it's going to be hard, grinding, back-breaking effort, but you can see that social change happening year after year. We've seen reduction in overcrowding, still overcrowding. There still has to be more done. We've seen less Aboriginal children out of home care. We've seen more children in preschool, 3-year-old preschool and on. We're seeing that change occur. For me, the best thing that could ever happen is if in a generation or two time, I can see that absolute change. More local jobs. We're not a mendicant state. That we are reducing that constant social cycle lived throughout the generations. That for me is the big challenge that I set myself. I think we can see that change. That's what I was after.
Do you fear that leaving now you'll leave any unfinished business from the role, or are you happy to go out on your own terms now?
Mano was too kind before. We have an extraordinary team. The cabinet is incredible. Our caucus is deep. We've done a lot of work. I leave with complete confidence the territory is on track and in safe hands. I couldn't do this otherwise. I couldn't. But I am extremely confident in the team that we have and the work that they do and where their values lie. Everyone makes mistakes, but your mistakes are less and they're in the right direction if you always do it putting Territorians first, and that's what the team does.
On mistakes, looking back honestly now that you're giving up the role, what are your mistakes that you've made over the last 5.5 years, the biggest ones?
I might let others make the hot takes on that one. There's always regrets. I'll say that the big thing undone, we promised in 2016 to put the budget back into surplus. In this budget, it gets back to balance. The task of surplus falls to the next Chief Minister. We've done a lot of work, a lot's come our way, the GST cuts, the pandemic, but it's an extraordinary budget and I can see a clear, credible and achievable path to surplus. That's a job undone that I know the next government will complete.
Talking about the pandemic, I mean, a lot of people may say you were a Chief Minister for the pandemic. Do you have any regrets there, or do you see that as one of the biggest points of your tenure?
No regrets. That might sound... There was no rule book, if that makes sense. No, I felt there was no playbook for the pandemic. So we did everything we could, the best we could, all the way through that. I genuinely think that the territory often led the way on a lot of those things that the nation followed. I think that we brought all our advantages to bear. We are a big place with a small population. We are connected to each other in a way that other states and territories aren't. We recognised the severity and seriousness of it. We did extremely tough decisions. I think we had an open door. We talked extensively to stakeholders all over the place. We didn't always agree, but we were extremely well informed of what we needed to do to save lives and what we needed to do to save jobs. I think a lot of those stimulus measures have got a lot of businesses through, and territory business owners through, territory workers through, and obviously on the live side, you know, the pressure we got in and around borders was immense. But we just had the confidence that we were making the right decision that was going to save lives and genuinely save jobs. Lives have to come first, but in saving lives, just have jobs. So for me, no regrets. That was just an insane, intense period, and I think all of those people who worked their way through it, obviously I was in National Cabinet, so maybe I speak more for First Ministers, an extraordinary time. And I thank all of my colleagues, the Prime Minister who chaired that National Cabinet, all the First Ministers that I worked with. There was a refreshing openness to National Cabinet, where we put aside Labor and Liberal often, can't always bury everything, and states and territories and Australian boundaries, again often, can't always bury everything. And I think we genuinely did what we could as a nation and as a territory.
Chief Minister, with the expertise that you've got as being the Chief Minister for so many years, have you got your eye on any portfolio, or is there any portfolio that you could actually assist with?
I'm not going anywhere, so I'm staying as a member of Fanny Bay. So all my corporate knowledge, all the continuity will be there. I will support my team in any way and every way I can. If they come to me, I'm not going to nose my way into a minister's portfolio or tell them how to do their job or backseat drive. I think that's not what people want from an ex. But I'm not looking for other jobs. I've got a job. It's a great job. I'm the member of Fanny Bay. It is, we all compete, all 25 of us, but I genuinely have the best electorate in the Northern Territory, and I'm looking forward to serving on as the member of Fanny Bay.
Who are you going to support as your replacement?
So for me, we have an exceptional and deep team. We'll work that out as a caucus on Friday. I don't believe we can make a mistake when it comes to the next Chief Minister, and I'll provide my support to the next Chief Minister.
But you must know who you're going to support right now. Are you going to support Nicole Madison if she puts her hand up for the job?
I'll support whoever the next Chief Minister is.
Does the right faction still have the numbers within the caucus?
That's not how I count within caucus, Matt.
How do you count?
I count people who put the territory first, and that's 100%.
Are you under investigation? Have you been told that you're under investigation by the ICAC in relation to this? No, that's got nothing to do with that.
No, I can absolutely rule that out.
Have you got any skeletons in the closet that we don't know about? Is that one of the, are there any skeletons that are the reason for your resignation?
The only thing I have in the closet is a lot of bad shirts that I couldn't wear while I was chief.
How about last couple, guys? How about through the tough measures of the pandemic, there was obviously death threats and there was a lot of vitriol. How much did that contribute to these decisions now you've got kids?
I can guarantee zero. So for me, if toxicity or anything like that was going to stop you being chief, you never start. You never start. I thought about this the other day. I'm not convinced there is more toxicity. This is a hot take. I'm not convinced there's more toxicity. I just think the ability to present it directly to someone has changed with social media. But there is a lot of toxicity to the job. You've got to be resilient. You've got to push through that. As long as you're putting Territorians first, that's the right thing, and you deal with it. Again, hot take. I don't think politics is a popularity contest. It's going to be strange. I think you're not in the job to be liked. You're in the job to be respected. You're not there to be the Chief Minister people want. You're there to be the Chief Minister people need. I did everything I could always to put Territorians first. And I knew that with every decision I made, and you're making hundreds of decisions a week, I don't think people probably necessarily get the full grasp of how much comes across the desk through the cabinet room. Hundreds of decisions a week. Every single decision you make will upset somebody. We are an extremely small place. And I think one reason why the Territory Parliament might have a shorter lifespan than others, if you look at how long I'm the father of the House, which is extraordinary. I wouldn't be the father of the House in any other parliament. I'm 14 years served. We have an intimacy to our politics that is good. It's good. I don't make decisions about 20 to 39-year-olds. I make decisions about Sally and Steve at the end of the road. Like, you know the people who are impacted by your decisions personally. And so It's a tough job, but it's a great job.
Most
So-
people know you as well,
Yes.
at a personal level.
Yeah.
And you had death threats made against you and your family at the height of the mandate debate and some other debates. Has that impacted your decision to give the game away sooner than you otherwise might have?
I think that is why chiefs, so not just me personally, but why chiefs don't go past 6 years in the Territory. I'm doing 5 years and something. I'm just shy of 6, I think. I think the record's 6 years in something. There's a few in that camp. No chief served 7 years in the Territory. So it's not why I've gone, but I think there is a where to the job. But no, I was a big believer that if I was ever going to walk out of here, it had to be for the right reasons, never a negative reason. I'm not going to let anyone else own this decision but me. I'm leaving because it's the best thing for me, my family, at this time.
Your final act is delivering the budget. Is it a positive note that you're leaving, and what can you tell us about the budget today?
The budget is incredible. It's just an amazing set of numbers. But you cannot do it for the numbers. You have to make sure everybody gets the win. You cannot have a good economy for the sake of it. You have to do it for all of us, and that's what this budget does. This is a budget that sets up the future. We recognise the growth in jobs and population, and this is bringing on a whole bunch of land release. We have to have a place for the people to live who are going to be taking up these jobs. The Territory is going to grow, and not just Darwin, which has been the scene of the last boom under impacts. This is Alice and Tennant and Catherine and Darwin and the Bush and Nullarbor. It's on everywhere. We are going to have an amazing period of growth, more jobs in more places. It's what I've been chasing for 5.5 years. This budget sets that out. It also puts in place a huge amount of stuff on the social side. $700 million into remote housing, $20 million into community housing, and setting that sector up to be viable for the first time and self-sustaining for the first time. And that's just a couple of things. I feel this is an incredible budget. It's one reason why I have the confidence to hand on.
Chief Minister, answer a woman's question.
Is there any part of today's decision that comes down to federal Labor polling in Lingiari and Solomon?
No. I presume they're going to do the same thing this time. They've done it every other time. They might change now. I've quit. I think it's been 3 or 4 elections in a row that said send Gunner a message, and we've won every time. So yeah, go again.
We all have a question. We've been overshadowed.
Sorry,
by men.
apologies.
Do you have a question as well? No, you're good.
Sorry,
So
sorry.
in the speech, it kind of indicated that you might be revisiting the wage freeze
Yep,
in the
sure.
next couple of years before it was due to come to its natural conclusion.
Yeah. For me, the wages policy reflects the state of the budget and the state of the economy. I think you can see in this budget, with the direction the Territory is going, that there will be a capacity to revisit that at some stage. There are a couple of things we've got to be mindful of. We've been burnt by this before. You cannot guarantee estimates are actuals. So I think you need to see that the numbers are real for some of that GST. If we were to scrap the wages policy, in the final year of our budget, it wouldn't be a $17 million deficit, it'd be a $500 million deficit. So the wages policy is still crucial for these numbers. Those tough decisions are why this budget is heading back to black. Now, if that money keeps coming in, the Territory economy keeps growing, there's a whole bunch of projects that are not in these books, so we don't count until FID. So, you know, the sun cables, the Arafura's, they're not in these numbers. So in my opinion, there's a lot of upside to this budget. As you work through that, as those projects hit FID, as that GST turns from estimates to actuals, then we can revisit the wages policy. That's there. So I absolutely believe we can do that.
Before the end of the 4-year period.
Well, that's a decision for another chief, and it depends on the numbers. So I'm showing it's there, but you've got to land those projects, and GST's got to be real, and you can do that.
So you're optimistic for a surplus?
I think it's absolutely there. I'm just conscious of the point that was made here before. So is there any other questions?
So why would people who haven't yet signed up to the wages freeze, why would they sign up if you're saying that they might not go down that track?
That's easy, I can take it. We inserted, so unions didn't mind by the way, but we did it, they didn't ask for it. We put into the General Public Service Award a clause that said if we ever change the wages policy, you won't miss out, you'll get it from that point on. So we don't want to see any worker ever miss out. So you can sign up to this wages policy having full confidence that if our government ever changes the wages policy, you'll get it from that day. No worker misses out. It has to be for all of us. We're not here to punish people, we're here just to make the hard decision, get it done, get the economy going strong, get the budget going strong, and doing it for everybody.
Just one question for you, commenting.
So this will need to be the last question because we've got to reduce. Yeah.
You're the acting Chief Minister. Will you be the Chief Minister by this time on Friday?
Well, that's going to be determined by the caucus come Friday.